All right, so today we're going deep on something pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Aviation disasters.
It's a somber topic for sure.
Yeah, but I think it's important,
Absolutely crucial.
you know? We're going to explore 10 crashes.
10 crashes that really changed how we fly today.
Exactly, and we're not just going to, list what happened.
Bro.
It's more about how these events,
They rippled outward.
how they rippled out and made things safer.
For all of us.
For everyone, yeah.
Makes you think about those pre-flight safety briefings a little differently.
Right, you'll never look at them the same.
Never.
So some of these stories are,
Pretty gripping.
yeah, they are.
Some are really hard to even imagine.
Yeah, like the Tenerife airport disaster.
Oh, wow.
You've heard of this one, right?
Of course, the two 747s colliding on the runway.
Yeah, it's a mental image that I can't shake.
It's one of the worst things you can imagine.
So how did something like that even happen?
Well, it really shows how a chain of events,
Okay.
like dominoes almost,
Yeah.
each one seemingly small,
Yeah.
but then they all come together.
Create the perfect storm.
Exactly. In this case,
Yeah.
dense fog, a super crowded runway,
Okay.
and miscommunication
They all just
collided with tragic results.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Two 747s
Uh-huh.
on the same runway.
It's hard to fathom.
Yeah, how is that even possible?
Well, you had a lot of diverted flights because of the fog.
Right.
So way more planes than usual were squeezed onto Tenerife's runway.
Makes sense.
And remember, this was 1977.
Right.
Air traffic control.
Not as sophisticated as today.
Not even close.
Right.
And then you add in a miscommunication.
Between.
The KLM pilot
Okay.
and the air traffic controller.
Oh, that's never good.
Never a good combination.
So what kind of miscommunication? What was it, like a language barrier thing?
It definitely played a role.
Okay.
The controller's English, it
Yeah.
wasn't perfectly clear.
Uh-huh.
And the KLM captain,
Yeah.
he was already eager to get going.
Okay. Yeah.
He mistakenly thought he had takeoff clearance.
Oh, wow.
But here's the thing.
Mm.
Even if their English had been perfect,
Oh, really?
yeah, human psychology under stress,
Oh, I see.
it can lead to those kinds of misinterpretations.
So you're saying even with clear instructions,
Yeah,
the pressure of the situation?
the pressure can really skew perception.
Yeah, like tunnel vision almost.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Tenerife became a tragic case study
Yeah.
in how vital
Yeah.
standardized communication is.
Right. Especially when lives are on the line.
Exactly.
Hmm.
It's not enough to just speak the same language.
Right.
You need specific phrases
Okay.
and protocols that minimize the chance of misunderstanding,
Got it.
no matter how stressed you are.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So one event.
One awful event
Yeah.
essentially rewrote the rule book
Yeah.
for how pilots
And air traffic control.
talk to each other.
It's like they had to.
Well, they realized they needed to
Yeah.
build a system that was as human error-proof as possible.
Right. As much as possible.
Of course, you can never completely eliminate human error,
Of course not.
but you can minimize it
Right.
with the right systems.
Exactly.
Tenerife was a wake-up call,
Yeah.
big time.
For the whole industry.
It led to huge changes.
Yeah.
Standardized phraseology
Okay.
and something called crew resource management,
Crew resource management.
CRM.
Okay.
It emphasizes all cockpit crew members
Okay.
actively participating in decision-making.
Interesting.
It's not just the captain's call anymore.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's a team effort.
Yeah. Safety in number.
Exactly. Yeah. It really highlights how important every little detail is.
Absolutely. So we talked about miscommunication,
Right.
but let's move to a different kind of disaster.
Okay.
The Charkhi-Dodri mid-air collision.
1996.
Right. A Saudi Arabian Boeing 747.
And a Kazakhstan Airlines Ilyushin Il-76.
Wow. What happened there?
Well, again, miscommunication played a huge part. But this time it was made even worse
By,
by different air traffic control procedures.
oh, so different countries using different procedures.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the Kazakh crew was speaking Russian,
Okay.
and they received altitude instructions from the controller,
Yeah.
who was speaking English.
Oh, wow. So,
Both sides thought they understood, but they didn't.
oh no, so they were both following instructions?
They were.
But those instructions were leading them toward each other.
Tragically, yes.
It's hard to even
It really is.
comprehend that.
The instructions were clear on paper,
Yeah.
but the subtle differences in how they were interpreted, especially with that language barrier,
Yeah.
they basically put the planes on a collision course.
Wow. It's just mind-boggling.
It really is.
To think that something so small.
Like phrasing
Yeah.
or just a slight misunderstanding
Yeah.
could lead to such a massive disaster.
Absolutely. It's a horrifying lesson
It is.
in how cultural and linguistic nuances can have just life or death consequences.
especially in aviation, where everything is so precise.
So what came out of Charkhi-Dadri?
In terms of safety changes.
Yeah. Did they start making everyone learn a universal aviation language?
Well, universal language would be great,
Yeah.
but it's just not practical in the real world.
I guess that makes sense.
So instead,
Yeah.
Charkhi-Dadri, along with Tenerife,
Uh-huh.
they pushed for greater standardization
Okay.
of air traffic control procedures globally,
So everyone on the same page.
as much as possible.
Right.
It really highlighted the need for controllers and pilots
Yeah.
to be trained not just in English,
What?
but in understanding how those phrases
Okay.
might be interpreted differently
Yeah.
in different cultures.
That's really interesting.
It's like they had to create a system
Yeah.
that was culturally sensitive.
Yeah, on top of everything else.
It's a huge challenge.
Okay, so we've talked about communication breakdowns.
Right.
But sometimes it's not about communication.
Yeah, sometimes it's about the plane itself.
Right. Tell me about Japan Airlines Flight 123.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, how a faulty repair.
Years earlier,
Yeah.
turned into a disaster. This one is a prime example of how even the tiniest error
Okay.
can snowball into a catastrophe.
Right.
7 years before the crash,
Hmm.
the aircraft had a tail strike incident.
Okay, like bumping the back of your car?
Yeah, but on a much larger scale.
Right, of course.
And the repair job,
Yeah.
it wasn't done properly.
Oh, no.
And over time,
Yeah.
that weakened section of the plane,
Uh-huh.
it became a ticking time bomb.
So hundreds of people were basically,
Flying around
yeah,
in a plane that was slowly falling apart.
essentially, yes.
That's a scary thought.
It really is.
Years later,
Yeah.
during a flight from Tokyo to Osaka,
Uh-huh.
that improperly repaired section,
Yeah.
it finally failed,
Oh, wow.
causing a rapid decompression.
Okay, I need you to break that down for me.
Rapid decompression.
Yeah, what exactly happens?
Okay, imagine you're in a sealed room,
Okay.
and suddenly a huge hole is blown in the side.
Okay.
That's basically what happens to a plane.
During rapid decompression.
Exactly. The air inside the cabin
Yeah.
rushes out with incredible force.
Wow.
Anything not secured,
Uh-huh.
including people,
Oh, wow.
can be sucked out.
So it's not just a loss of oxygen.
No, it's a violent change in pressure
Right.
that can rip a plane apart.
And that's what happened to JL 123.
Yes, the pilots,
Yeah.
incredibly skilled.
Yeah.
They fought for over 30 minutes
Wow.
to regain control.
30 minutes.
30 minutes. They managed to keep that damaged plane in the air,
Wow.
even turning back towards Tokyo.
Right.
But the damage was just too severe.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, this
Yeah.
wasn't just one bad repair.
No.
It exposed a system
Yeah.
where tiny errors
Seemingly insignificant errors.
could become fatal over time.
Exactly.
And it makes you wonder how many other planes are flying around
Uh-huh.
with these seemingly minor flaws.
That could turn into major disasters down the line.
Right.
It's a chilling thought.
It is.
And that's exactly the kind of question
Yeah.
that aviation safety experts grapple with.
Every single day.
Every single day, they're thinking about those what-ifs.
Wow.
JAL 123 wasn't just a tragedy.
Right.
It was a wake-up call.
About.
The long-term consequences
Yeah.
of cutting corners.
It makes you realize that.
Every bolt,
Yeah.
every weld, every inspection,
Uh-huh.
it's a potential link in a chain
Yeah.
that could lead to disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sobering thought, isn't it?
It is. So JL 123 led to massive changes.
Oh, yeah, huge changes
Yeah.
in how airlines approach maintenance.
Like what kinds of things?
Well, stricter quality control. For one,
Okay.
better training for mechanics
Makes sense.
and way more rigorous inspections.
Especially after.
Any incident
Yeah.
that could even slightly affect the plane's structure,
So you could say that.
every time you board a plane today,
Yeah.
you're benefiting from the lessons learned
From that tragedy.
from that tragedy.
It's both sobering and reassuring at the same time.
It is a strange feeling.
It is. But speaking of small issues turning into big disasters,
Yeah.
let's talk about the McDonnell Douglas DC-10.
Oh, the DC-10?
Yeah. 2 crashes in 1974,
Turkish Airlines Flight 981
right?
and the Ermenonville air disaster
They both exposed a critical design flaw.
with the cargo doors.
Yeah.
Those 2 crashes were pivotal
Okay.
in showing how a seemingly minor design flaw
Yeah.
could have just catastrophic consequences.
Right.
The DC-10's cargo door system,
Yeah.
at the time,
Uh-huh.
it was susceptible to accidental opening during flight.
Okay, help me visualize this.
Okay.
What happens when a cargo door opens mid-flight?
It's way more serious than just some luggage flying out.
Okay.
You get what's called explosive decompression.
Explosive decompression.
Imagine a balloon suddenly popping,
Okay.
but on a much larger, more violent scale.
Okay.
That sudden change in air pressure, it can actually cause the cabin floor to buckle.
Really?
It can rip apart the electrical wiring and control cables.
That run beneath it.
Exactly.
So it's not just about things getting pulled out of the plane, but the plane itself can start falling apart from the inside.
That's exactly right.
Wow.
And that's what happened to Turkish Airlines Flight 981.
Okay.
Shortly after takeoff,
Uh-huh.
a cargo door blew open.
Oh, wow.
Explosive decompression caused the floor to collapse, severing those crucial control cables.
A pilot.
Lost complete control.
Wow, imagine being at the helm.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, and sudden.
You're searing your ability to stabilize the plane.
Yeah.
It's just gone.
I don't even want to think about that.
And then tragically, just 3 months later,
Yeah.
the same thing happened to another DC-10
Really?
during a test flight near Ermenonville, France.
Another cargo door failure.
Another case of explosive decompression.
And another catastrophic loss of life.
It was a terrible time for the DC-10.
2 nearly identical crashes within months of each other.
Yeah.
That must have been a huge wake-up call.
Oh, it was.
Not just for McDonnell Douglas,
Right.
but for the entire aviation industry.
You're right. It forced a complete redesign of the DC-10's cargo door system.
Like, what did they do?
They added heavier locking mechanisms
Okay.
and redundancies to prevent accidental opening.
So, like, adding extra locks on your front door?
Yeah, but for a plane flying at 30,000 feet.
So, we've seen how communication breakdowns and design flaws can be deadly.
Right. They're both huge factors.
But what about when the danger comes not from the plane itself,
Okay.
but from where it flies?
You're talking about Iran Air Flight 655,
1988.
shot down by the U.S. Navy.
Yeah, a really sensitive topic.
Is this a stark reminder
Yeah,
that even in peacetime,
yeah.
civilian aircraft can become casualties?
Of military actions.
It's a scary thought.
290 innocent people.
Lost their lives.
Yeah, walk us through what happened.
Okay, so Iran Air Flight 655.
Yeah.
It was a routine passenger flight.
From Bandar Abbas, Iran to Dubai.
Oh.
It was flying over the Strait of Hormuz,
Uh-huh.
a waterway with really high tensions.
Because of,
And we're on Iraq war.
right, so a volatile region.
Very volatile.
And that's where the USS Finzins comes in.
The U.S. Navy warship
Right.
is on patrol in the strait,
Yeah.
using their radar and other systems.
Uh-huh.
The crew misidentified the Airbus A300 as an Iranian F-14 fighter jet,
Oh, wow.
believing it to be hostile.
And on the attack.
That's what they thought.
So a tragic case of mistaken identity.
Absolutely.
And then what happened?
The Vincennes fired 2 surface-to-air missiles,
Oh, no.
destroying the civilian airliner.
And killing everyone on board.
It was a horrible tragedy.
How could such a colossal mistake happen?
Well, the investigation.
Yeah.
It revealed a really complex interplay of factors.
Yeah.
There were issues with the radar systems,
Oh.
communication breakdowns within the Vincennes crew, and you can't discount the heightened tensions. Right, being in a conflict zone.
Probably contributed to a misjudgment of the situation.
So not just a technical failure,
Yeah.
but a failure of judgment
Under pressure.
with tragic consequences.
It really highlights the human element in all of this.
Absolutely.
It led to changes in rules of engagement.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. military emphasizing avoiding actions
Yeah,
that could endanger civilian aircraft.
especially in conflict zones.
Exactly. But it also highlighted the need for
Yeah.
clear communication, not just military units. Civilian air traffic control as well.
So everyone needs to be on the same page.
It's about sharing information.
And I'm guessing improvements in radar technology to better differentiate.
Civilian planes from military aircraft.
Right.
It's crucial.
So Iran Air Flight 655.
It became a catalyst
Yeah.
for a reevaluation of how the military operates in airspace
Wow.
shared with civilian aircraft
It's a reminder that even with advanced technology,
and highly trained personnel.
Yeah.
The fog of war
so to speak.
can lead to devastating errors.
Sadly, Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 in 2014 proved that even in the 21st century,
Yeah.
conflict zones are still a major risk.
For civilian aircraft.
It was a chilling reminder
It was.
that even though air travel is statistically safe,
We like to think of it as safe and routine.
yeah,
There's still parts of the world,
where that's just not the case.
unfortunately,
Flight 17 was shot down over eastern Ukraine.
a region embroiled in conflict.
298 lives lost.
It's hard to believe something like that could happen in this day and age.
It is What do we know about what brought down the plane?
Yeah, international investigators.
Yeah.
They concluded that the aircraft was most likely shot down by a missile
Okay.
fired from territory controlled by pro-Russian separatists.
It sparked outrage and grief worldwide.
It did, and reignited the debate, the
Wow.
safety of flying over conflict zones.
It's a complex issue, isn't it?
It is.
On the one hand, you have the right of people to travel freely, but on the other, the paramount importance of passenger safety.
How do you balance those two?
It's a tough question.
It's a delicate balancing act.
For sure.
In the aftermath of MH17,
Yeah.
airlines and aviation authorities, they were forced to reevaluate their risk assessments.
And what did that lead to?
Well, some airlines,
Yeah.
they made the tough decision,
Yeah.
completely reroute flights to avoid conflict zones altogether,
Okay.
while others implemented
Wow.
stringent monitoring and risk analysis procedures.
So you're telling me that every time I book a flight, there's a whole team of people.
Behind the scenes,
Yeah.
analyzing global conflicts
Yeah.
and figuring out the safest routes.
Mm.
You bet it's a constant and evolving process.
Wow.
Taking into account real-time information,
Yeah.
political situations, military activity, potential threats.
So it's not just a line on a map.
No, it's much more complex than
There's a
that.
whole lot going on behind the scenes.
To ensure our safety.
All right, okay, let's shift gears. From geopolitical threats to something closer to home.
Right,
Literally, we talked about maintenance with JL 123,
right.
but American Airlines Flight 191 in 1979.
Oh, yeah.
It really drove home the point
Look,
that even routine procedures
Yeah.
can have devastating consequences.
If they're not done properly, that crash was a harsh lesson. The importance of meticulous maintenance
Okay.
and rigorous inspection procedures.
It involved a DC-10.
Taking off from Chicago's O'Hare Airport, during takeoff, the left engine detached from the wing.
An engine falling off during takeoff?
I can't even fathom what that must have been like.
Yeah, for the passengers and crew?
It would have been terrifying.
So what caused the engine to just detach like that?
Well, the investigation
Yeah.
revealed a tragic series of events.
Starting with
Damage to the engine pylon during maintenance.
the pylon.
It's the structure that attaches the engine to the wing.
Okay, got it.
And the damage occurred
Yeah.
because the airline was using a shortcut method.
A shortcut method.
Yeah, for removing and installing the engine.
So they were cutting corners.
Essentially, yes, it was faster.
But
It increased the risk of damaging the pylon.
hold on, they were using a shortcut
They were,
that they knew was risky.
yes, and tragically,
Yeah.
that risk turned into reality.
With American Airlines Flight 191.
It's a stark example of how prioritizing speed and efficiency
Yeah.
over thoroughness and safety.
Can have devastating consequences.
271 lives lost.
Because someone wanted to save a few minutes
It's hard to believe.
on a maintenance procedure.
It's a reminder that every step matters
What happened after the crash?
in terms of changes.
Yeah.
Well, airlines abandoned those shortcut methods immediately.
Okay, good.
Regulators stepped in,
Yeah.
stricter requirements for inspection techniques,
Yeah.
and training for maintenance personnel.
So every bolt, every weld.
Suddenly took on a whole new level of importance.
It's a sobering thought.
It is.
The safety of an entire plane, hundreds of lives.
It can all hinge on the smallest details.
It makes you wonder what other seemingly minor things.
Could have major consequences.
On the line.
That's the question that keeps aviation safety experts up at night.
And it's why the industry is constantly evolving,
Always learning,
learning from every incident
big or small.
to make flying safer.
That's the goal.
Speaking of threats to aviation safety,
Okay.
let's talk about a different kind of danger.
Okay.
One that isn't mechanical failure or human error in the cockpit.
You're talking about terrorism.
Air India Flight 182 in 1985.
A tragic reminder.
That aviation can be a target.
For those who seek to inflict harm,
It was a Boeing 747
flying from Montreal to London,
carrying 329 passengers and crew,
a bomb planted by Sikh terrorists,
detonated in the cargo hold.
while the plane was over the Atlantic Ocean.
Another horrific loss of life.
It's a reminder that aviation security,
Isn't just about preventing accidents.
it's about protecting against deliberate acts of violence.
And the bombing of Air India Flight 182 had a profound impact.
Oh, it did. On airport security worldwide.
You know the security checkpoints?
Yeah, the bag scans, the body scanners.
All of that,
Yeah.
those measures,
Uh-huh.
and countless others behind the scenes
Yeah.
are a direct result of this tragedy.
So every time I take my shoes off,
And put your bag through the scanner.
I'm basically walking through a system.
That was shaped by these past tragedies.
It's a sobering thought.
It is. But it's also a testament
Yeah.
how the industry adapts and learns from these events.
Right. The threat of terrorism is constantly evolving.
It is, and security measures have to evolve with it,
So it's a never-ending cycle.
of assessment, improvement, and vigilance.
And it's not just about technology.
Yo!
It's about human vigilance as well.
Security personnel are trained
Yeah.
to spot suspicious behavior, analyze intelligence.
And work together to keep passengers safe.
It's a team effort.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
Something incredibly difficult to hear.
Yeah, some tough stories. We've explored crashes caused by miscommunication, design flaws.
Military actions, even terrorism.
It paints a rather bleak picture, doesn't it?
It's true. We've discussed some of the darkest chapters in aviation history.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to remember
Right.
that we're not just recounting tales of disaster.
Yeah.
We're examining how these events, as horrific as they were,
Yeah.
have forced the aviation industry to learn, adapt, and improve.
So if we take a step back and look at these 10 crashes,
Yeah.
what are the key takeaways?
Well, one overarching theme
Yeah.
is the interconnectedness of factors.
Contributing to aviation safety.
Right. It's rarely a single cause,
Yeah.
but rather a combination of human actions, technological limitations, environmental conditions.
Like Tenerife.
Exactly, where fog, miscommunication, human error all played a role.
Right, and it's important to remember that aviation safety isn't static.
No, it's an ongoing process,
Every incident
whether it's a major crash or a near miss.
provides an opportunity to learn and make improvements,
It's a constant striving for perfection.
even though perfection is ultimately unattainable.
That's the thing about safety.
So what can we as passengers do?
To contribute to this ongoing process,
Yeah, what can we do?
the most important thing is to be informed and aware.
Okay.
Pay attention to those pre-flight safety briefings.
Even if you've heard them 1,000 times.
Exactly. Familiarize yourself with the safety features of the aircraft.
Right.
And if you see something that seems amiss,
Don't hesitate to speak up.
you're part of the team too.
So basically be an active participant in your own safety.
Exactly. Not just a passive passenger.
Aviation safety is a shared responsibility.
It is from the pilots and air traffic controllers
Yeah.
to the mechanics and security personnel.
And even the passengers.
We all have a role to play.
In making sure we reach our destinations safely.
That's what it's all about.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive.
Into aviation disasters.
It's been a heavy but important journey.
It has.
It's a reminder that while air travel is statistically incredibly safe,
It is.
it's a safety that's built on the lessons learned.
From tragedies like the ones we've discussed.
And as technology continues to advance,
Who knows what new challenges and solutions lie ahead?
what will shape the next chapter in aviation history?
It's a fascinating question.
Thanks for joining us.
Fly safe, everyone.
Uh-huh.